Today I want to talk about another character from Vampire the Masquerade Redemption. Generally, I think that Vampire Masquerade Redemption is one of the best RPG games about vampires. It still has, let's say, action element to the point that we can sometimes assume that it is more of an action game than RPG game, but still I think that the plot, the showing us of the Middle Ages, and then and this is a big plot review from those who didn't play it. And for me, it was a really great surprise that we also have, except Middle Ages, we have also a half of the game in modern times. So the game is really epic. This is one of the few games I can remember that I would call at the end epic game. But nevertheless, we have also a great game after Redemption, and it is of course our beloved Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. These two games I would still consider the best games about vampires, because we also have a very famous stories like and games like Castlevania, or about Cain and pupil his pupil. I forgot. The game is called Soul River. So these games are also very beautiful, very climactic, with this vampire element in them. But I would still consider Vampire the Masquerade Redemption and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines the best games which we still have. Unfortunately, Bloodlines 2 is a very mediocre game, and what I have seen from the reviews, it's more of an action game than an RPG game, unfortunately. But today I want to focus specifically on a concrete character of Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, Mercurio. As we know, Mercurio is also a ghoul named after this Mercurio in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. But we are not talking about Mercurio in Bloodlines game. We are talking about the first Mercurio, which was a monk and a Cappadocian vampire in Prague at the end of the 11th century, and this Cappadocian monk is probably the first most difficult opponent I have met in this game, to the point that because I was about 16 in fresh, I have just begun began high school. So I was a freshman in high school, and I didn't know how to play RPG games very well. And this guy, this Mercurio character, was really difficult, to the point that I didn't know how to beat him and how to not being caught by this mist, which caused in you a frenzy for about couple of months. So for me, it was really a distraction that such a hard opponent was at the beginning. But right now, when I'm, for example, playing, it's far more easier. And I think maybe a patch lowered a little bit his difficulty. But Mercurio is also a Kabbalist in a Cappadocian clan, and the Cappadocians are interesting because they, in those times, we have information at the end of 11th century that they have embraced. So they embracing means that they sire, or they created a vampires from a from Italy, I suppose, called Giovanni. And those Giovannis, they were humans who were dabbling with necromancy, but unfortunately for the Cappadocians, those Giovannis took over the Cappadocian clan to the point that in modern times, the Cappadocians were almost all slaughtered and extinct, to the point that in Vampire the Masquerade lore book, we have two lore books to the vampire, in maybe not in the most modern ones, but one of them is called Dark Ages, and it is about vampires in Middle Ages. And second one is Vampire Masquerade, I think. And it has a green cover, and the one with Middle Ages has dark cover and a rose on it. The rose on it and dark cover, and version for modern times, green cover and red rose. And when we, for example, searching for clans in Vampire Masquerade, for modern times, we also have these two biggest sects of the vampires, Sabbath and Camarilla. So Sabbath clans are not at our disposal, but we didn't see Cappadocians at all, and it is because of those Giovanni necromancers who took over the Cappadocian clan, to the point that, for example, in Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, in the game about Christoph Romuald and Mercurio, we will meet Giovanni clan in the future, and we will be fighting with them or against them. But here now in Dark Ages, Cappadocians are still a formidable clan, and they are scholars or learners in those Dark Ages times, because more they live among monks, and some of them are even monks. And for example, Garinol, the ruler of Cappadocian clan, is probably some high rank monk in St. Petrin Hill Monastery in Prague, when we are playing in Vampire the Masquerade Redemption. But Mercurio is also a Kabbalist, and he is at odds with Garinol. But Garinol needs him because of his Kabbalist's knowledge of the Golem. And Golem is also an interesting part of the Vampire Masquerade Redemption, because it's golems are generally like mythological creatures from Judaism. Yes, and here we have that the golem was protecting the Jewish quarter in Prague, and he got mad, and he slaughtered the rabbi, so the priest of the Jews, and he went crazy. But he went crazy because Mercurio poisoned him or afflicted him with grave root, and this is some kind of a insane or some kind of a mixture or vapors. I'm a little bit confused why stolen golem from stone and clay was able to be inflicted by this grave root, because it's a mechanical almost machine or entity. But nevertheless, this grave root caused the golem to be crazy, and we need to fight with Mercurio to help the Jewish quarter with the golem, and to recover the book of Nod, which is a very famous part of vampire mythology. But Mercurio himself is really interesting character. He's a very tough opponent for the players. If today you want to play with Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, I would say that Mercurio, for me, was the toughest enemy. Even the last enemy was not as tough as Mercurio. But if you are older, you would probably know how to defeat him, and it will be. But still, it will be not an easy fight. Even if you know how to kill him, and you will kill him swiftly. And of course Mercurio, all voice actors in Vampire the Masquerade Redemptions are top, are 10 out of 10. Maybe only Mass Effect series has the same level of voice actors. Mercurio actor, even he has a couple of lines here and there. He really showing us this young fanatical monk with obsession to preserve life, or to let's say make those who are died living again, because Cappadocians are living also again near the cemeteries, so they wanted to know what is death, how death works, because vampires also can be killed eventually. So this clan is really focused on this issue, to the point even that they have a little bit of a sectarian thinking, than that the Cain. So because we have a story from the Bible that Cain, as an evil character, killed his brother Abel, and Cain is the father of all vampires. But some of them believe that it is wrong story, because truly the Cain was the favorite of the god. And here in Middle Ages, I think it's not really sure if they all believe that vampires are coming from the Cain. It's not really well expressed in Vampire the Masquerade Redemption. I assume that most of them believe that the Cain was the first vampire, and he's the father of all vampires. But in modern times, in Bloodlines, for example, Camarilla doesn't believe in it, doesn't believe in Cain, but we have much more connections with the antediluvian vampires, those who created the most powerful clans, and so on. Here in Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, it's more of a mystery. It's still more of a mystery, even though we are closer to the Cain and Abel times than those in modern times. And of course, what else we can say about Mercurio? That because we have also this dispute between young monk Mercurio and Garinol as his sire, and they are at odds with each other. And Mercurio locked himself in a cell, but Garinol didn't want to open this cell specifically because he wanted Mercurio to gain this knowledge and to study and to learn Garinol again, because we assume that Kabbalists are only this is the Kabbalah. The Kabbalists are also the part of the Jewish culture and the Jewish religion. So I think that probably Kabbalists as Jews didn't want to give this knowledge to the vampires, because the Kabbalists is probably another sect of humans, here specifically Jews, who are at odds with the vampires. But at this specific moment, we are allying with the Kabbalists also to defeat the golem. And Kabbalah is also like a mythology in Judaism religion. It's Kabbalah. So maybe Mercurio was thinking about knowing the knowledge of death and life from these Kabbalists, and so on. And of course, this is the first major mission in Vampire: The Masquerade Redemption. Well, maybe except slaying Azra in the mines, but we are, for example, seeing how great is the climate of Vampire: The Masquerade Redemption. Music, special effects, sound effects, walking of the monks, their characters, their visuals, the graphics of the monastery, and all those very thin, blue-skinned monks who are only praying or walking. It's really really interesting to see how good this a little bit stereotypical view of Middle Ages is shown in Vampire: The Masquerade Redemption. Because first I played Vampire Masquerade Redemption, and then I have bought Dark Ages and Masquerade lore books. So the Vampire: The Masquerade Redemption was for me the inspiration to know a little bit about World of Darkness. And it is of course a very broad world. We have, for example, lore books even for wraths, even for specters, I think, but for wraths, I'm sure, for werewolves, werewolves apocalypse, also mage ascension about mages, and also about fairies. Which is also another interesting part, that this world of darkness is really complicated and really is a world of real darkness. And I would say that if someone would ask me what is better, Redemption or Bloodlines 1, I would say that they are on the same level, but Bloodlines is a little bit more over the top, goofy, cool, badass game. Especially cool and badass. And Redemption is more epic, serious, enigmatic, and darker, I would say. For example, the most vicious clan of Dark Ages, and maybe the most powerful, Zimitsi. For example, we assume that Vlad Dracula was a Zimitsi vampire. They are really horrible creatures here, but also enigmatic, also mysterious. Because in Bloodlines they are also enigmatic and mysterious, but they are much more brutal-like, savage-like, demonic-like. But here they are much more enigmatic, mythological, mystic, vicious, but vicious in a very hidden way. And they have their unique discipline, and unfortunately in Bloodlines, I really want Bloodlines to create an expansion when you can play as a vampire from non-Camarilla. So for example, because we have Assamites in in Dark Ages, but in modern times, for example, we have like Banu Hakim, which are almost the same. But it will be interesting to, for example, play as Assamite from this lore of Dark Ages, or for example, like Ravnos, which are about the gypsies traveling through Europe. Playing as a Ravnos vampire, and Ravnos because they have very dark hair, and they are and also crows have very ravens have very dark feathers, so they are called Ravnos. Or for example, vampires of Set from Egypt. It will be really interesting, or to play as Sabbath vampires, two greatest clans who created the Sabbath, Zimitsi and La Sombra. It will be really an interesting expansion, because in Bloodlines 1 we can specifically play as a Camarilla vampire, as a belonging to the greatest sect of the vampires, but it only consists of 7 clans, and it will be interesting to add in an expansion clans for Sabbath vampires, and for example clans which are not in any specific sect. Or for example we can play as Giovanni, let's say. It will be really, really interesting. Let me know in the comments what do you think about Mercurio. For me it was really tough boss. For a couple of months I didn't play vampire because I couldn't defeat him. His name is also copied in a very famous ghoul Mercurio for Bloodlines. And let's discuss in the comments what else and what interesting we can say about Cappadocian clan in general or Mercurio specifically.